at Being Good. Again, with a speech entitled Being Good at Being Good. Here's David. Yeah, have some applause.
Imagine you are a doctor at one of the top hospitals in the United States, and you have 6 patients underneath your belt, 5 who are deathly ill, who need organ transplants. And they're going to die if they do not get these organ transplants. 2 need kidneys, 1 needs a stomach, 1 needs a spleen, and 1 needs a lung. And you're in a dilemma here. These young people who have their whole lives ahead of them need an organ transplant. And then it comes to you, patient number 6, who's 90 years old, perfectly healthy, but at the end of her life, she's got each of these things. So, do you make the decision to pull the medicine and get what you need to give these people a happy life ahead of them? Or do you just let them die because that's an unfortunate situation and let her finish off the last of her days? Let me ask you, what would you do, Ramjat, in this situation?
I would need to know more about of organs that are that age. Are they still as effective, or do they have?
So there's circumstances where he would consider doing it. Perry, what would you do?
Better days. Let those people die.
All right. We have a very clear line in the sand. And Ken, what about you?
I would make her an offer. I would say you could sell your organs on eBay for a certain amount of money, each organ, and you can leave the money to your heirs and see if she takes it. Make it a business, strictly business.
So we have someone who has a very different idea of how to go about this. So as you can see here, we all have different opinions and different ways that we would approach it. There's certain information that we might need. Some of us have cut lines in the sand. We all have our ethical and moral code that we go by. And that may stem from very different places. It could be religious for you. It could be from your parents, your upbringing. It could be from whatever scripture or ideology you could think of. But we all have some sort of guiding moral code that helps us make these decisions. Now, why did I give you this scenario? The reason is I wanted to point out that there's a lot of things in life that are just not so cut and dry. That it's hard to determine what is the right thing to do. How can I be a good person? It's not always an easy answer. Now, a lot of us like to think ourselves as good people. I mean, if you think you're a good person, would you raise your hand, you know? John's the exception, okay. But we all like to think we're good people. And a lot of times our good motives are driven by an emotional response. You know, I do good because it makes me feel good. Now, who in here has donated clothes to charity or has participated in any sort of charitable giving that involves giving something to a third world countries? Most of us here, okay. Now most of us would agree that this is a positive thing to do, to give someone in need something they don't have. What if I were to tell you that the truth is when you donate these clothes to a third world country like Uganda or Nigeria, that you're actually destroying local economies and putting shop owners, cobblers, clothes makers, and seamstresses out of business, and you're actually causing a lot of economic harm to these people and causing more overall harm in the long run by doing this. This is a very unfortunate thing to happen. I mean, let's take the company Tom's Shoes, for instance. Tom's Shoes has that model where you buy a shoe and they donate a shoe. Well, there was an investigation, seeing what the positive effects are, and it turns out that they actually caused a lot of unnecessary harm to these societies because they put a lot of people out of work. Now, how do we know what's the right thing to do? How can we determine this? We should take an approach that's less emotional and more pragmatic, sort of a utilitarian method, the way that we get to the truth, maybe the same way we would through science or engineering. Take someone like Bill Gates, for instance. Bill Gates has started the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and has become the world's greatest charity that has ever existed, saving an estimated 5.8 million lives just through the Against Malaria Foundation. Now, what if I told you, with just $2.50, it is proven that you have actually saved a life in this country by providing them with a cheap mosquito net that protects them from malaria. This is actual tangible proof that we can measure how effective this charity is. Now, you may be thinking, okay, I buy into this utilitarianism. I want to help as many people. I want to do good. I want to be better at doing good. Well, there's many ways that you can approach this. You can go to a website called givewell.org. Give you a moment to jot that down. GiveWell.org is a third-party, nonpartisan organization that actually grades and reviews these charitable organizations to see how effective your dollar is to helping someone, rather than just feeling good by making our decisions all willy-nilly. For example, there is a lot of people in this country who will give to the charity, who will donate money to give a blind man a dog, a seeing eye dog. Now, this is a great thing to do, to give a blind man a seeing eye dog. Would you not agree? But what would you say if I told you that it takes $40,000 to train that seeing eye dog to give one blind man a seeing eye dog? $40,000. In a third world country, your dollar goes a lot further than that. For only $18 to $25 in most third world countries, you can actually cure glaucoma and blindness completely from these people. So for the same $40,000 to give that man a seeing eye dog, you could help over 2,000 people recover from blindness.
So we're talking to eye dog guy as an American?
Yes. So, I leave you with this. If you are interested in being good, but you don't know where to start, use the resources that are in front of you here in the 21st century and take a more pragmatic and utilitarian approach to the way that you give. By going to GiveWell, finding out the charities who give, where your dollar goes the furthest, and forget about how you feel about it. Just know that what you're doing is best, and if we all follow this method, we can all get good at being good. Thank you.
All right, going to give you 30 more seconds.